Hello, everybody, everyone, every jelly belly, every son, every mother, every daughter, every father, every son, every person, every entity, every animal, every tree, every plant, every bug, every grass, every seed, every cloud, every sun, every wave, every ocean, every mountain, every valley, every peak, every slotion.
You got to stop saying
That's like,
hello so quickly after the mark, Jamie. That's going to be a nightmare.
well, screw you. You can
Sorry.
just edit in the middle of that. It'll be great.
So I can see my sound waves going a bit crazy on Audacity here. So this could be a nice, there could be a lot of fuzz in the background of this one. So that'll be
That'll be
good.
fun.
Just the usual stuff.
I've abandoned my usual microphone because I was too lazy.
Have you?
So we're going back to the heady days of the laptop mic. Bit of nostalgia.
Right. Okay.
Not just because I was too lazy, also because I wanted to have my mouse available to give a defensible reason.
Do you not have your? So do you only have one USB slot? And it's
Yeah, my computer has one USB slot and no HDMI ports, and it's very irritating.
why does it only have one USB? It's bizarre.
Because it's a hack machine and it has a Thunderbolt slot instead of where a second USB would be, which I never use.
Oh, my laptop's got like three. It's got like two USB
Actually, hold
threes, a USB, a normal USB, HDMI, all sorts. You need to get good, mate. To be honest.
Yeah. Actually, maybe it does have a second USB slot on the other side.
Slort.
I think Slort. Also, I'm sick with hay fever, which I guess isn't an illness; it's an allergy. But you know,
Hey Jamie,
something fun for everyone.
what
Yeah,
are people listening to?
the Golden Talkies. It's a film podcast where we talk about films.
Yeah.
And only films, and that's why we talked about films so much there.
Exactly. 2 minutes in, we've talked about so many films. We talk about films.
Anyway,
that came out.
for this film review podcast, my review of the Dell XPS 13
Oh, yeah,
circa
go on.
2015 is I'd call it a buy. It's served me pretty well these
Really?
years, but if it had an HDMI slot, it would be pretty perfect. Yeah, I need a new laptop, and I'm probably just going to buy the more modern version of this because it has more ports. So,
Well, I've got
it's cool.
a No, I did have an HP. I've got an Acer now, and it's decent. Both my last two laptops have been decent. They've not been great,
Yeah.
but they've been decent.
There's always some weird compromise in whatever I make of laptop that I don't understand.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I feel like everything I buy seems to have compromises. It's like, why can people not just make things that work? You know?
Yeah, I don't really need a lot from a computer. The other thing is that the webcam's in a weird place, as
Yes,
you're
I do
well
know that.
aware.
You see the keyboard, most of the keyboard.
Yeah,
I guess what it is that it costs a lot of money to make things perfect, and it's
I guess,
probably,
but it's a 1,000 quid laptop, you know.
yeah. But I mean, you can
I
buy
feel like-
laptops for like if you want one that's absolutely perfect, you can buy it for more. But that's still quite a lot of money. Mine was like 700 something. Anyway, on this film podcast, we talk about films that came out 50 years ago. This week,
This week,
But
specifically
actually
this
last week.
only ever this week, not last week.
Okay. we're gonna get back on
This
track,
week.
Jamie, because we're recording Sunday morning. This will be out
Yeah,
Monday afternoon, and then next week we'll be releasing on Sunday afternoon as expected with the film for that week, probably,
yes.
or the film for this week.
My solemn vow to you, the viewer, is that next Sunday there will be an episode of a film that was released that week 50 years ago
Yes,
on time.
yes, because the film
I'm seeing-
that we're watching today is The Go-Between, which was released last week.
Which came out 2 weeks ago, 50 years and 2 weeks ago. But
No,
in-
well, not 2 weeks ago. I guess kind of 2 weeks ago because it
Yeah.
came out on Tuesday. It came out on the 25th of May, 1971, and this is the third week in a row, Jamie, that we've watched a film that came out at Cannes.
yeah,
I guess that's
Christ, it came out
the
long time.
nature of the
Yeah,
beast.
but it also came out for a general release on the 18th of June 1971 in France. So in a way, we're early.
In a way, we're early,
Uh,
but it did. Was it not like September or something until it came out in the UK, or got a full release?
In the
or
UK, it
something?
came out 23rd September.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
But you know,
I guess it makes sense that a lot of them are going to be at Cannes because we just sort by release date, and then if a lot of films
Yeah.
are going to have their premiere then, so it makes sense. But anyway,
yeah, I think
go on.
So yeah, that's what's happened here. But would you like to have some historical context, Duncan? And if so, for what week would you want it for the week the film came out, or this week?
I would like both, please, Jamie, because I didn't really get any. So.
Wow. Okay, well, give me a quick sec. Why don't you tell me how your week's been, Duncan?
My week has been fine.
That's nice.
Must like most other weeks, I've not really done much. Because there's this little pandemic going around, which is actually not.
Well, you're filming something.
I was. That's
Right.
true. That is true.
Yeah.
That's a very good, well remembered, good talking point.
Thank
Yeah, we
you.
finished that. We wrapped on Thursday. Had a pretty mental wrap party. You know, as much as you can within COVID restrictions. I must say, Weatherspoons seems to be pretty lax on the old being very strict about COVID.
Of course they are.
Because we had 8 people, and we had 2 tables of 4, but they didn't seem to mind that we were talking across tables. So,
Well,
and to be fair, from today or tomorrow, up here you can meet with 8 people anyway, so it's probably fine. But yes, we filmed the film, had a wrap party. It was good. I don't know when the film will come out. There you go.
very nice, very nice. So you're heading back down to. People know we live in Edinburgh. Are you heading back down to Edinburgh soon then?
I couldn't possibly dox myself. No, I'm not. I'm gonna come down for a few days quite soon, but probably stay up here. Up here, where do people know where I live now at the moment?
I think you said Aberdeen.
Right. Well, we said it.
And
now.
I certainly said it just now.
Right. Fully dox. Should we give our addresses as well and phone numbers and all that?
Uh, yeah, it's number.
why you give my actual address? I'm gonna have to edit that out. I did that as a joke. I thought you were gonna say like some made up place. Okay, well, that's fun. What were we saying? Yeah, I'll come down. I'll see you. Because you're in Edinburgh now, yeah.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I'll come down. We can do an in-person podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember we did that last summer. It was great.
We were gonna do it last summer, but we didn't.
We had the brief bit in the deck chairs.
That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. Man, last summer when COVID wasn't a thing, briefly, or was a thing. But wasn't, so.
How well that worked out for the rest of the year.
How do you think this? Are you getting flashbacks with this Indian variant and cases rising and places not moving out of levels unexpected? Are you getting flashbacks? Because I certainly am.
I suspect that another wave will probably happen at some point.
Yeah.
But I guess immunisation's going quite well.
Yeah, well, that's the hope. You know, because
we have good socialised medicine in this country.
They've said that they don't want to go back. You know, like they're going to pause restrictions easing at points when it's necessary, but they don't want to like go back. So hopefully that's what happens.
Yeah.
But
Glasgow's stuck in a bizarre hellhole forever, apparently.
Well, you went up. Well, not you because you're not there anymore. But it went up to level 2, right? This weekend it goes up to level 2, so that's something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I think 50% of the population has been vaccinated. That is the most vulnerable 50%, or at least it should be. So that's all.
Have you had yours?
Anyway,
have you had your jab? Yeah.
No. I've registered. Like, I've done like the free interest registration.
Yeah, same. I know quite a few people that have got it. Apparently, in some cases you can just walk in and get it because there's a lot of people are not turning up. So there's a fun tip for you viewers out there: if you really want it, you can probably just go and get it.
Very nice.
Right.
Yeah. Some of my sister's friends, who are very nice people, lied about being unpaid carers in order to get a jab. So good for them.
Wow.
That's a hot tip.
Were they? That's not a hot tip. Don't do that one. Were they sort of bending the definition a bit, or were they just fully lying?
They were fully lying. Yeah.
Right.
They're all like super rich. They aren't unpaid carers.
Well. Right. Okay. Cool.
Anyway, enough about the present. Let's talk about the past.
Let's go forward to the past, to the May.
That's where we're gonna take you.
May 1971. Jamie.
Yeah, May 24th, 1971. A commuter bus plunges into the Panama Canal, killing 38 of the 43 people aboard.
Do you want to try that?
What a fun, light-hearted romp.
Do you want to try and say that again? I think you messed up at least half the words there.
No, I didn't. Okay. On May 24th, 1971, a commuter bus plunged into the Panama Canal,
there we go,
killing 38 of the 43 passengers aboard.
Cool.
I have hay fever, you have to be forgiving. On May 25th, the IRA threw a time bomb into Springfield Road British Army base in Belfast, killing British Army Sergeant Michael Willits and wounding 7 officers.
Jeez.
And the USSR performed a nuclear test, so nothing new here.
Nope.
Yeah.
Is that it? That your whole...
No, keep going. I'm just checking. Well, like, there's famous birthdays and famous deaths, and I just need to check if anyone's famous.
Oh, right. True.
May 26th. Matt Stone is born on May 26th, 1971, of South Park fame.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
This was a Wednesday. Thursday, the 27th. The 24th Cannes Film Festival. Go Between wins the Grand Prix du Festival International du Film.
Nice. Well said.
You know?
Yeah.
And John Lennon recorded the song Imagine, which will forever remain an inspiring anthem.
Interesting.
Yeah. Presumably didn't release it, otherwise they would specify that. Nothing too interesting in the famous birthdays. Paul Bettany was born, and Glenn Ross.
Ben Ross. Is that not someone who went to
yes.
school?
Yeah.
Paul Bettany's pretty famous. It's Vision.
Is it the same? Presumably they would say in this if he's... Maybe they wouldn't.
No, it's Paul Bettany, the guy who plays Vision.
Yeah, no, but it might be a different Paul Bettany. It's not that uncommon a name.
I just looked up that Paul Bettany, and he was born on 27th of May.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It's Paul Bettany.
I know I'm right.
So, once again, I'm going to complain about onthisday.com for being weird about it.
Right.
And saying that Paul Bettany was most famous for A Beautiful Mind.
Did you know that Paul Bettany is like 6.26 feet?
Is that an interesting fact? Tell me about that. And so are you.
He's 6'3". I don't know. I feel like actors are often short.
That's true, I guess. Or is it true? Is that a fact?
Tom Cruise is short.
Yeah, I know you're about to say Tom Cruise, but other than the one who was famously short.
Leonardo DiCaprio's pretty short, no?
I guess. They seem like just...
Actually, no, Leonardo DiCaprio's not that short. It's just kind of... Okay, well, I guess... Yeah, maybe it's not true.
I mean, if you look at any subset of the population, it will have short people in it.
Well, I just remember, like, it being a thing that people would say that, like, actors were short so they could, like, fit on the screen better.
That sounds stupid.
But
you know what? I'm open to discussion.
As I started saying it, I realised they're not actually in the screen. So
yeah.
If you guys didn't know that, when you're watching a film or a TV show, the actors are actually not in the screen. They're like pre-recorded, and then they are like projected onto the screen. So that's just
it's quite incredible.
That's just a Golden Talkies fact of the week. I don't know how many of you guys
Exactly.
know that. Anyway, let's
go on. Major historical event on Friday, May 28th, is that Paul McCartney releases Ram, his second solo album, and a good one.
All right.
An official James Carson recommendation.
I don't know if I've
Chris
ever heard it
at the time, but reassessed in the years following.
I don't know if I've ever heard that album. So.
Oh well, you can enjoy it in your own time.
Okay.
The USSR Mars 3 launched, which is the first spacecraft to soft land on Mars.
Oh, because the
crash landing.
The other week we had a crash landing, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there, USSR making steady progress in the space race.
Mm-hmm. Is it not kind of? Is the space race not kind of? I mean, landing man on the moon was like the space race, right? Now it's kind of just.
Well, that's you. Well, they say that's US propaganda, as it were. That made it. That's the main goal. There's obviously a particular reason why that should be the ultimate achievement.
True.
But if you want to say like USSR continues to make progress in space exploration, maybe that's a bit more neutral.
Yeah. Sure.
The NBA center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wedded his school teacher Janice Brown. That's cool. Oh no, wed school teacher blank. She worked as a school teacher, not his school teacher. That's less creepy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kareem, he's an actor as well. He was in fuck, he was in a Bruce Lee film, and he was in something else as well, and also a very good
That's cool.
basketball player. Let me just see what films he was in.
Audie Murphy, the American soldier who's among the most decorated in World War II, with 33 medals, and an actor in films such as To Hell and Back and The Whispering Smiths, was killed in a plane crash at 46.
Oh, that's a shame. Kareem
Moving on to
Abdul-Jabbar was
Saturday.
also in Airplane, apparently.
Ah, very nice.
There you go.
Okay, moving on to May 29th, 1971. Courtroom by Clarence Carter hits 61, which I'm assuming is a song.
Okay.
Nothing else too interesting. Max Trapp, the German composer, died at 83.
Right. Of course he did.
On May 30, on May 30th, Sunday, May 30th, 1971, 36 people were hospitalized during a Grateful Dead concert. Do you know why? Would you like to guess why?
Well, the way that you coughed tells me it's going to be something funny.
Yes.
But did you say people died?
No one died. At least it's not mentioned.
People got
36 people were hospitalized.
Virtually hospitalized at a what? Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead, yes.
Did one of the cymbals go flying off the drum kit? that wouldn't hospitalize that many people.
Sorry, it hospitalized 36 people. It just kept skimming like a stone.
It's like a martial arts film, you know, like the cymbal just went flying around the crowd, taking people's heads off. And then they all got sewn back on at hospital. Right, what happened?
They drank LSD apple juice.
Right, okay.
Willie Mays got his 638th home run, which set a National League record of 1,950 runs scored.
Right, that took you a while.
Adina Menzel. Yeah, I was trying to figure out sort of like saying 1900, and I was like, no, there's a 50. How do I pronounce that? And,
okay.
Well,
cool.
Idina Menzel of Wicked and Frozen fame was born.
Oh, nice! Right, quite a lot of big birthdays this week.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. A lot of people are born in the summer. I say anecdotally.
We also, we don't often do the birthdays, do we? Apart from on the specific day of the film.
Well, I don't do them unless they're someone we would have heard of. So either someone who's in well, someone who's famous today, really.
Yeah.
I don't do sportsmen because I don't follow sports. So I don't know who's famous.
Right. Okay.
On May 31st, nothing of interest happens.
Right.
On June 1st, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown opens at the Golden NYC, which is a musical based on Peanuts.
Nice.
And Reynold Niebuhr, who's a theologian, dies at 78, and that's Tuesday. Wednesday, June 2nd, European Cup final in Wembley Stadium. Ajax beats Panathinaikos 2-0. Dutch champions begin 3-year period of domination. I have no idea what sport this is referring to. You just think football.
Probably. What did you say the team was?
I don't recognise Ajax.
Oh, yeah, Ajax.
Panathinaikos.
Ajax are the Amsterdam, the big Dutch team.
Okay. Well, it says here that the Dutch champions begin a 3-year period of domination.
Yeah.
So presumably they'll winning the next year's.
They're like the Dutch team that generally would get into the Champions League or stuff like
Thursday, June 3rd, Test cricket debut of Imran Khan. Other than that, nothing that interests me.
Right. Are you saying that interests you?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay.
But they gave it a big highlight. Some more cricket stuff happens on June 4th. Noah Weil is born, who played Dr. John Carter, ER.
Okay.
And Shoji Meguro, who composes the music for the Persona series. And that's my favourite video game series, is born. Cool for me.
It's cool for you.
The NFL linebacker Patrick Scott was also born. Maybe that's something for you. Who knows?
I don't know who that is. The thing, I probably wouldn't know these people because they'll be 50 now, so they would have played, when I was born.
Okay, Saturday, June 5th. Mark Wahlberg is born.
Jeez, what?
Actor and racist.
What's going on with this week?
Susan Lynch, the Northern Irish actress, is also born. That's pretty much the same thing. Okay, and finally, Sunday, June 6th, today, 50 years ago. French Open men's tennis.
Oh yeah.
Jan Kodes of Czechoslovakia beats Ili Nastase of Romania. John Lennon and Yoko Ono make an unannounced appearance at Fillmore East.
Right.
Free Cosmo.
The French Open's going on at the moment. Now.
Yeah.
This year.
That's how annual events work, I guess.
I guess it is. I suppose. They do be like
Soyuz
that.
11 takes 3 cosmonauts to the Salyut 1 space station. Willie Mays gets another baseball record. And that's it. We're caught up.
So there's a space station.
Yeah.
Kicking about.
Yeah, I assume because something won. The Salyut 1,
Right.
it's presumably the first one.
Interesting.
And obviously, again, given that it's cosmonauts made by the USSR. But yeah.
Oh, sorry, I yawned there just
Good
as
for them.
you finished talking.
Just as I took a lovely sip of coffee.
Yeah, that's the sort of
Now
chemistry that we've got here.
Exactly. We're in sync. We're in sync.
Right, now that we're caught up, let's talk about the film.
Yeah. The go-between.
The go-between. So, as we said, 25th May 1971, at Cannes.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on a novel by L.P. Hartley from 1953. It was directed by Joseph Losey, who was initially a theatre director, and he was blacklisted by Hollywood in the 1950s for being a communist.
Cool guy.
Hence-
I like this film much more.
Hence why this film was made in the UK. There, that's my basic info, Jamie. Are you ready to do your plot summary with me jumping in?
I guess I will. I'm surprised to hear that he was a victim of McCarthyism. I'm redoing my take on the film in my head.
Hey.
Yeah, sort of. I'm interested.
There you go.
This film, why don't we just go into the plot summary and say that, broadly speaking, this film is about class.
Yeah.
So this is it's set sort of a little before World War One, I believe.
Yeah, like start of the
but
19th century. No,
Yeah.
start of the 20th century.
Yeah, sort of the peak of the British aristocracy, at least in the modern age.
Edwardian times.
Yes, exactly. So we're on a big country estate with a house that's too big to even be called a mansion. And there's some sort of aristocratic family here. I don't think we ever find out exactly what their deal is, but they're clearly landowners. And they have they have 2 sons, and one of the sons has a friend with him, and we see the action from that friend's perspective, and his name is Danny, if I believe.
Don't think it is Danny.
Is it not Danny? Shoot.
Now you've got me trying to remember what his name is.
What was his name?
Leo.
What was his name? Leo, that's it.
Yeah.
Cool, I can do this stuff. So yeah, his friend is called Marcus, and they're spending the summer. He's spending the summer at this country house. We know that Leo and Marcus go to school together, so presumably Leo's family is decently well off, but he's definitely not in the same stratosphere as this really rich family. We know Leo's dad used to be a banker, and then he died. So
Yeah.
Leo's middle class, whereas his family is very firmly upper.
It's probably that sort of thing where they've decided to send him to a nice school, and it's like a fair bit of their money, and they're living comfortably, but not that's
not well.
Yeah.
Or not this well. I think that's the thing.
Exactly.
Anyway, so we see these boys having chicanery around, but Marcus has an older sister who's played by Julie Christie, called Marion.
Yeah.
And Leo's really very taken with the sister because she's quite kind to him. Whereas most of the other adults sort of they're nice enough to him, but don't really acknowledge him per se. And Marcus is a little shit, although I think Leo does genuinely like him.
Yeah. He's a likable little shit.
Yeah. It's clear that they're just sort of it's horseplay. It's just banter.
Yeah.
But they keep making fun of each other. But they have the family has a tenant farmer neighbor who's called Ted Burgess, who's a big old guy with a moustache, and he's a man's man. He's tough.
He is.
Likeable and friendly, and he's not stuffy as these guys. So one day, when Marcus falls sick with the measles, Leo goes to play by himself on a sort of hay bale, which is owned by Ted Burgess, and accidentally injures himself when he sort of slides directly into an axe. And Ted Burgess helps patch him up. And Leo sort of asks if there's anything he can do in return, and Ted Burgess says, "Well, if you could give me a note to Marion, a note from me to Marion, then that would be very helpful, Leo." Which Leo does, and then Marion, in return, sends Leo with a message back to Ted Burgess, and this begins a process in which Leo starts ferrying messages back and forth between Marion and Ted Burgess.
He's a postman.
Initially, not. Yes, Ted Burgess refers to him affectionately as their postman.
Yeah.
Leo initially doesn't realize what's going on, but he eventually cottons on to the fact that they're having an affair.
Yeah.
But he doesn't understand why they can't have an affair out in the open. And eventually, Marion gets engaged to this Viscount Trimmingham, who's a nice enough guy. And Leo doesn't understand why Marion would marry Viscount Trimmingham if she's seeing Ted Burgess, and why she can't be open about it. And Viscount Trimmingham says at one point that Ted Burgess is going to go join the army, willingly even, and Leo doesn't understand that that's sort of a veiled threat, as it were.
Yeah.
Basically, Ted Burgess has a reputation on the estate for being a womanizer, so everyone's very cautious of him.
Yeah.
Leo continues, despite the clear emotional distress it causes him, to send messages, even when it becomes clear that this is an illicit affair. He at one point threatens to stop doing it because he thinks it's immoral, and Marion starts yelling at him very angrily, and this clearly deeply upsets him. Likewise, Ted Burgess, Leo reaches an agreement with Ted Burgess that his payment for doing this messaging is that Ted Burgess will tell him what the dealio is.
What spooning is.
Yes, what spooning is.
Yeah.
Because spooning is a funny word and he doesn't understand it. And Ted Burgess is made so uncomfortable by Leo's insistence on being told what spooning is that he yells at him too. Although Ted, to his credit, realizes he was in the wrong next time Leo comes to see him and offers to tell him what spooning is.
Yeah.
But Leo says it's fine. He has other people to tell him what spooning is. But yeah, there's sort of uneasy peace made. But everything comes to a head during a summer storm on Leo's birthday, when Marion's controlling and very to-do mother says that she's going to confront Marion about why she isn't showing up at dinner. And it's made very clear during the scene that everyone knows why, but the men aren't willing to acknowledge it. They're trying to turn a blind eye.
Mm-hmm.
Marion isn't fooled, and she gets Leo, drags him by the ear, forces him to show her where they are, and then you see Marion and Ted Burgess spooning, even.
No, I think they're shagging, Jamie.
They are, but for some reason, I think spooning means something different now. That's my guess. Or perhaps you could call it an aggressive spooning.
No, is it not just that he doesn't understand?
Well, he doesn't understand, but like they call, because he knows that horses spoon.
Oh,
that's probably
okay, fair enough. And I didn't. I missed that, but I just thought it was him like using the wrong word and being like all innocent.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. But yeah, I don't know. It might be that the slang's changed. It might be that it's like really a bleak way of referring to sex. Regardless, they have sex.
Yeah.
They are having sex on a hay bale. They are having a literal roll in the hay. Not a literal roll in the hay. Figurative roll in the hay on a literal bale of hay.
Right.
And yeah, this is an outrage, and we don't know what the fallout is per se. But we flash forward and we see an older, much older, maybe 50s Leo talking to a Marion who's maybe in her 70s.
Yeah.
And we find that Leo has been scarred for life by this incident, and he's never found love. And he can't express himself properly. And Marion asks that Leo be her postman one last time and tell her grandson that he is the descendant of Ted Burgess, not Viscount Trimmingham.
Yeah.
That's the So yeah.
There you go. Quick.
Simple story, really.
Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Good podcast. What are you rating it?
Brilliant. No. Yeah, so let's talk about stuff, I suppose.
Right.
What do we think of being an upper class person in Britain at this time?
What do I think of being an upper class person in Britain at this time?
Well, yeah, why don't we start off with that?
Well, I love being an upper class person. You know, I have maids and I have people to cook for me, and I can just go about gallivanting all day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I quite like it. What do you think about being an upper class British person at this time?
Well, I wasn't.
Oh,
I didn't know you
oh,
were
you meant
a traveller.
oh, you meant you meant in the.
Ah ha
Uh-huh.
ha ha.
What one
Duncan and
actually
I are middle class.
one thing I did
Just
say,
to be defensive. Yeah.
it's quite interesting that they just got up every day because it's like, you know, it's the summer, so they're just doing nothing, and they would like at breakfast, they'd just
Yeah.
be like, what shall we do today? Shall we go swimming?
Well.
Shall we go for a walk?
Hmm.
Perhaps we shall go into Norwich and buy some, or wherever they were living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of these things is like if you were sort of a member of one of these families that at that time didn't have to work at all.
Yeah.
One does wonder how you feel today.
Well, exactly.
Particularly if you're really allowed to do anything undignified, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Perhaps
You just sort
perhaps
of-
we shall go to the castle for your birthday, Leo.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's Leo's big birthday treat is that they might all go up to the castle and have a look,
Yeah.
then back.
Yeah.
But,
So it seems quite
Film does a
boring.
very convincing job. Yeah,
Would
it's
be my-
quite convincing job showing it being utterly miserable.
Yeah, that would be my analysis of how their life seems to be pretty dull.
Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, I suppose this film is about being skeptical of the current system, or not the current. Well, because the system's still in place, but not as strong as it was then, obviously.
Yeah.
But the traditional British class system, eroding slowly as it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, every member of the family sucks basically, with the possible exception of Marion. They're the oldest, the Maudsleys' oldest son is particularly awful. He's like the absolute worst kind of posh person. When he interacts with Ted Burgess, tells how he did quite well at putting him at ease.
Yes.
And then
yes.
when he's playing cricket, he's like, he won't play with his father seriously because the old man will be exhausted.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Um,
So he's a real shit. Hmm.
I think the class relations in it are quite interesting because there's not really anyone that's like properly working class.
Yeah.
You know? Because like Ted Burgess kind of knows his place, but I mean, even, you know, as a farmer, he's like I guess he's a tenant, but he
He still seems to be doing all right for himself.
like he's doing all right. He works the land.
Yeah.
He knows his place. He's still able to talk to them. You know, like he plays cricket
Mm.
with them. Obviously, there's in the cricket scene there's a lot of like class tension and stuff, but it's still
Yeah, it's very clear that
Yeah.
that neither Ted Burgess nor the Maudsleys regard Ted as an equal.
yes, but they don't. It's not.
But-
It's not like one of these films where they sort of look right down on him and he's like at the bottom of the heap and they wouldn't even speak to him. It's like there's a kind of interesting relationship where it seems like, you know, as long as they both know their place, they'll be fine. They can get on.
Yeah, well, I suppose. I mean,
Jeez.
it's not entirely clear how much Ted has internalized his sort of class rhetoric.
Yeah.
Although it's definitely very clear that the upper class family has internalized it totally.
Yeah.
But certainly Ted doesn't really challenge. Ted's only real challenge to the order is his affair with Marion, and even then he's
Exactly.
very secretive about that.
Like-
And when he finds out that Marion's getting engaged, he rolls over quite.
Yeah,
Willingly.
like I'm thinking of the swimming scene as well, where like, you know, he's swimming. They don't mind that he's swimming, but they kind of want him to leave, and he knows that he has to leave. So he's like, okay, you know, sorry, I didn't realize you were going to come. I'll just get changed and I'll be off. And it's all very civil, which I think is an interesting way of presenting it, because that is probably what it was like, and it kind of makes you think more how draining it would be to just like constantly have all these like little micro things that you have to do, rather than a sort of overly dramatic representation where like, I can't believe that man is swimming in our pool, and there's, you know, a big argument or anything like that. It's more, I think it's more interesting to see it presented as like a very
Yeah.
kind of.
I suppose an interesting thing is that at the start of that scene there is that big dramatic thing. It's just that they keep it within themselves. So like,
Well,
It's-
sort of, yeah.
particularly from the oldest Maudsley son, but like it's clear that they really do genuinely are very irritated at the fact that Ted is swimming in the pool. But like when they approach
Yeah,
him,
I guess
they still forced to do so civilly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Ted isn't given a huge amount of what would you say, interiority, I suppose, in that
Yeah.
we observe dead, we don't understand him per
That's
se.
true. Yeah.
But yeah,
Good point.
but yeah, the film doesn't really have any working class representative.
No.
Per se. As an examination of class, it's very focused on the upper class, which I suppose was sort of, I don't want to say criticism, but I feel as is like sort of analysis of class is basically like, even for the people at the top, it was bad, as it were, because it's sort of sapping them of their humanity.
Yeah.
But like, it's not. I don't think that a modern viewer would watch this film, or even a viewer at the time the film came out, would watch it and say like, "Oh, the class system is still bad," if you know what I mean, because it's about flaws of a system. Of the parts of the system it's criticizing have mostly gone away.
Yeah.
I don't know much about how the aristocracy conduct themselves nowadays.
Well, I guess it's more the classes have shrunk together more. Like, I'm sure.
Yeah. Because like, unless you're literally in the royal family, I don't
Yeah.
think there's that many people who have this kind of experience anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like the film isn't suggesting per se, although I'm sure, I suspect that like the creator would agree with the statement that like income inequality is bad. It's more like the ceremony of it all is bad. It's the social aspect, not the economic aspect that's being critiqued here. And even then, only really from the upper class perspective. There's nothing about sort of the more, I suppose, because this is after the sort of rise of kitchen sink dramas and sort of the British New Wave, right?
Yeah, it is.
I suppose there's not, but it feels very before that time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, there was a quote I found. You probably saw it as well because it was on Wikipedia, where the I guess the financiers were worried about it because he said it was too tame for the pornographic age, and who would be interested in a bit of Edwardian nostalgia. So I kind of agree with that. It's not, compared to the kitchen sink stuff, it's not really the same.
It lacks an edge.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Get Carter.
Of course.
Yeah. Which this film was made. This film was made with whatever that means. I don't know if you saw that. There's like a four film agreement or something between some companies, and it included Get Carter in this one.
Oh yeah, Get Carter, the boyfriend in the last run.
Yeah. I don't really know what that agreement means, but there's a bit of trivia for you.
I guess it's just like an exclusivity thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to just figure out how to articulate it. Yeah, I guess it's more a criticism of these, like, it suck to be upper class films in general, is that like, within the system, it was hard to be upper class, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as being working class in them.
Yeah.
Obviously. And that sort of perspective, there's a lack of perspective, I suppose.
Yeah.
That isn't necessarily a flaw with the work, but more with the genre, per se. And that isn't addressed in this film. That's what I'm trying to say.
So would you have preferred if this film had more like working class characters?
Yeah, I think so. Just to like, because like, obviously it sucks for the members of the upper class family, but like, the real violence or the real inhumanity of the system is sort of. I think that if you were a member of the aristocracy and you watched this film, it would not make you uncomfortable at all. I think you would agree with it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think that if, like, I forget the name, whatever the Tory MP who wrote Downton Abbey, I'm sure he would watch this film and like have a good old time.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I think it would be completely possible to watch this film and then look at reality as it exists and conclude that the problem has been solved and nothing's wrong anymore.
Yeah. True.
So that's what I say when I say that it lacks bite for me.
Yeah. Interesting thought. I don't know if I've really got that much to say more.
Okay, let me think what else to say. Because there was something I wanted to say, and now, like, all those most beautiful of thoughts, it's just gone into the wind. Oh, yeah. This film's based on a book, as Duncan mentioned. And that book has a very famous line, which is that the past is a foreign country, everything's different.
Yeah.
And they have a narrator do that first line, because it's famous, and the narrator does one other line, maybe 20 minutes later, and then says nothing else for the rest of the film, and
That's
that really
true.
irritates.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
I just, if you're gonna have, if it was just the first line, I think that would be fine.
Yeah.
Because that's like set. But the fact that he does one line in the middle of the film, that to me is like, okay, you've now got a narrator. You should commit to the bit.
Is the narrator meant to be modern day Leo?
I don't think he's played by the same person.
Right.
And I mean,
Because
it wouldn't.
I was reading in the book that's like the book's written by, in theory, by Leo in the current day, and he's reminiscing back, and that's like the line that he writes, at the start of the book. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if it is meant to be, because that was the impression I got. I think was that it's meant to be him in the 1950s talking.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe not. I don't know if there's a way, if there'd be a way to find out. Without.
What else am I want to say? I thought Leo as a lead was okay, but I found him quite grating at points.
Right. Well, he's not an actor anymore, so.
Is it? Yeah. I mean, as the performance I think was fine as like a normal, as a nervous upper class child, or middle class. Sorry. It was more the fact that Leo is, by his nature, very reactive, but more importantly, doesn't ask a lot of direct questions in a way that irritates me.
Yes.
And is very, 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 very unassertive. And I know that that's just part and parcel of the class relation.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does at times make some scenes quite difficult to watch when someone asks him a direct question and he refuses to answer for several minutes.
True.
But I guess that's part of the.
Do you think so? Would you say that Leo sort of forms this bond with Ted because they're both kind of fish out of water a little bit?
I think so. I think Leo and Ted have the most natural conversations of anyone we see in the film. And I think we certainly know that Leo feels comfortable asking Ted questions that he definitely would never ever ask anyone else in that state.
Exactly.
I think Leo's still somewhat afraid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even not necessarily sure where it comes from, to be honest. Possibly just from the fact that Ted is an older man, and so there's always going to be that distance between them.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of tension through their conversations, but obviously eventually it's Ted who gets mad at Leo, although they have their reconciliation. But yeah, I think the bond between Ted and Leo is quite, I wouldn't say heartwarming, but it's entertaining. I don't know. It seems healthy. It's the healthiest bond Leo seems to have with anyone from the estate, other than the friend who invited him in the first place.
Yeah.
Whereas his bond with Marion seems a bit creepier. But it's just.
Oh, he's very into her.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing.
I always find
the thing with Marion is.
I feel like there's quite a lot of films with that kind of relationship in it. It's always a bit weird because like the grown woman kind of seems to know what they're doing, and it's just cool with it. And they're like, "Oh, you're so young, you couldn't possibly." Like I can't remember. There's one where like they like promise the boy that they'll like wait for them to get to a certain age. I can't remember if it was one that we've watched or if it's like another film, but yeah, it's like a period thing where like they promise that they'll wait for the boy to get to the right age and then they'll marry them, and then obviously they go and marry someone else because that's what's gonna happen. And I feel like that's quite a common relationship to see in these like Edwardian Victorian dramas, and it's just a bit weird.
I mean, to be fair to this film, I don't think there's any question of Marion returning Leo's affections. She clearly does.
No, there's not, but she's definitely aware of the affections and takes advantage of them.
She's definitely aware, and perhaps more importantly, takes advantage of them for gain. But I think just as an audience member, like even if it's quite natural that Leo would feel attracted to a good-looking older woman, it's not a particularly comfortable place to have to be, if you know what I mean.
No.
But I suppose it's maybe more society's fault, because obviously that's a natural emotion.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's
shy away from it.
It's not weird particularly.
Yeah.
I guess just
it's a little
putting it on film, makes it a bit different.
Yeah, exactly.
Filming it. But anyway,
Mhm.
man, I thought something else I was going to say, and it's slipped my mind. So that's good.
But yeah, I suppose it's just about just how this sort of ceremony is eating apart every sort of member of this family from the inside, and eventually destroys Leo really, spiritually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's bad.
There's some
So yeah,
there's some good lines in it. They
Yeah.
use some funky language. The term hard cheese is used several times.
I do like hard cheese a lot.
I think she's ripping is another good one. Obviously calling sex spooning. Just some funny
spooning discussion.
funny little quirks of language.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing
Yeah.
that I totally forgot about is he's meant to be a magician, but not once does he do any magic.
He does the card tricks at one point.
Does he?
And yeah,
When does he do the card tricks?
he shows them off to. Wait,
I don't remember. You're
might-
definitely
I
right.
think I'm thinking about an episode of Star Trek. I think.
Oh, right.
Um,
I don't remember because all I remember is he's constantly teased about being a magician, but I
Yeah.
don't remember him once doing a magic trick.
Well, the bit with the deadly nightshade, which is a bit strange, but I think he does magic then when he flushes. Basically, at one point, there's a deadly nightshade plant growing in the outhouse, a sort of disused outhouse,
Yeah.
that Leo and Marcus discover early in the film, and they're very curious about it in a little boy way. And then during the later part of the film, when it's clear that sort of Marion and Ted are not going to be able to be together, Leo takes the nightshade and sort of boils it down into a sort of tea, and then takes it in a goblet, flushes it down the toilet, and does a magic chant.
All right.
Uh,
Okay. I don't remember that bit, but
Yeah.
okay. Well, in that case, I'm wrong. I just see. Because yeah. Okay. I assumed something like that would be in the film, and then I obviously missed that.
I mean, we're sort of led to have our own conclusions about it. I sort of assume that scene is Leo contemplating suicide and then deciding against it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think magic is sort of part of it. It is kind of strange that the family are so accepting of it. Although I guess there's no real reason they wouldn't be.
Well, of him being a
It's
magician.
not like it's not like Leo does magic tricks. They say specifically that Leo does black magic, and Leo
Yeah.
agrees.
Yeah, I think they're like teasing about it, you know. But then, you know,
Yeah.
when that started, I was expecting something interesting to happen in the film around it. Either some actual magic, or you know, like a dream sequence where something happens, or he tries something, or like just something to come of it. And I don't think it really did. So,
Yeah.
but I guess it's just a bit of characterization, so it's not a problem, but just interesting.
Interesting. So, yeah. According to the critical reception of this film seems to be somewhat insane. Charles Champlin in the Los Angeles Times
Charlie
says that
Chaplin?
it was one of the best. Charles Champlin,
Not to be confused
um,
with Charlie
yeah.
Chaplin.
says that it was one of the best films of the previous 6 years.
Right. Very specific.
Which
What came out?
which is
What came out? You know, then 6 years ago.
1965. 1965 films. In Thunderball, for a few dollars more. Oh, Doctor Zhivago might be what he's talking about. That sounds like something that someone
Maybe,
talked about, or
yeah.
the Sound of.
Yeah.
Well, the Ipcris. Wow, what a good year for film. The Ipcris File. Or,
Maybe
oh, I know.
maybe we
It's,
should. have
it's clearly
done-
Clarence, the Cross-Eyed Lion.
It's what? Sorry.
Clarence, the Cross-Eyed Lion.
Oh, that'll be it. Yeah. Clearly, we should have done
Yes.
films that came out 55 years ago and started it last year, and we would have had.
Exactly. Well, I suppose not necessarily an issue, but a fact of the time frame we're doing is that it's just before a major sort of revolution, at least in Hollywood, which one would suggest means that the background is quite tired.
Yeah. Oh,
If anything's
good.
going to happen.
I'm glad we were doing
But
this.
well, it's good to watch things that are bad. I wouldn't call this film bad. I would not say it is one of the best films of the previous 6 years, even based on the very, very small sample size you and I have
Yeah.
examined that. I don't think it's even one of the best films of 1971.
No. We're only halfway
Um,
through the year. What loads of
so I'm
people
interested. Yeah,
Right.
so I'm interested to what they saw in it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What?
One of the world's great films, it's described as by Foster Hirsch in 1980.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't see. I think it's good. I don't see it as a masterpiece personally.
What are you
Uh,
going to rate it, Jamie? Though that's the big question.
I'd say stream it honestly. Um, I don't know, was it that worth? It's
I
fine. It's very slow. I don't want me to sound unprofessional, but it's very slow.
it is.
And
I'm between.
a challenge.
I'm between watch if it's on and stream it here.
Um,
Um. Let me muse over it for a second.
included in the BFI's list of 100 best British films in 1999.
Because the thing is, I watched this a few days ago, right? There's some films you watch, and the more you think about them, the more you like them, the more you dislike them. But I feel like I've kind of just
Yeah.
forgotten this one, so which is making me
Well, that's-
think maybe it should just be a watch if it's on.
Well, sort of the thing is, like, if I roll it around in my mind, as it were, I don't really get that much out of it.
Yeah,
It just kind of is what it is.
I'm gonna say watch if it's on, but if it's your
Hmm.
kind of thing, then I would say stream it because it's not. It's
If
not
you
bad.
if you are upper class and resent that fact, then this is the film for
I don't know, I
you.
feel if you like a period drama that's like a bit slow, but
Yeah,
has a decent story, decent characters, then yeah, I would rate it or watch it. But if that doesn't sound like your
Yeah,
kind of thing,
it's-
and no, not watch it, stream it. But if that's not your kind of thing, then yeah, I do say watch if it's on.
Yeah, it's a decent
Yeah.
example of this kind of thing.
Exactly.
But it's not, it's not wowing me.
No.
But it clearly wowed a lot of other people, and who am I
Exactly.
to say that they're wrong?
Exactly.
Uh,
Who am
Right.
I?
exactly, who am I? So, I have things to discuss. I hope you have things to discuss, but I will ask you first, out of politeness.
Right.
This is the end of the main bit of the podcast. Me and Duncan are just going to talk about what we've been up to.
So you can all leave.
Duncan, you consumed any media over the last
Well,
2
Joe,
weeks?
I was just about to say something else.
Oh,
Did we say last week that we missed the 1 year anniversary of the podcast? Did we talk about that last week?
we might have. Yeah. No,
not
we
last
uploaded
week,
on the.
but like the last one we recorded because
Yeah.
you know how we took the break for like 3 months.
Yeah, yeah.
The episode that went up immediately after that break was exactly a year, or a year and a day since the very first episode, and I don't think.
It's almost like we started this podcast when we were finished with university work that year.
And then we returned to it when we finished university work, but I
Yeah.
don't think we even mentioned it. So, and I don't
Ah.
think I forgot. I think I forgot to mention it last week or 2 weeks ago as well. So I'm mentioning it
Yeah.
now. Happy
Cool.
happy year.
1 year anniversary. Yeah,
And
I've
a
enjoyed
few weeks.
doing this project with you, Duncan. I feel I've watched some really good stuff and also a lot of absolute shit that has completely wasted my time. But
And
that's the game, baby.
I am going to try. I'm not for this episode, but I'm going to try and update the style a little bit and make it a bit
Alright.
better. But I want to do it in a way that's because there's some weeks I've got a lot of time to do it, and there's some weeks that I don't. So I need to try and think of a way to do it where, because what the like basic style we have at the moment is very easy to replicate every week, which is why it's quite boring. But I need to try and think of a way to like make it more visually interesting, or more. It doesn't need to be visually interesting because it's a podcast, but just a bit more. Anyway, I'm going to think about that. What have I been up to? What have I been consuming?
Yeah.
Did we talk about Total Recall? That I went to see that at the cinema when it just opened? I think we probably did.
No, you mentioned as a cool cliffhanger.
I was going
last
to see
week.
it.
You were going to see Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, that was okay. Yeah.
Your first time experience.
That's right. Last time we recorded, I was just about to go see that, so I went and saw that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got.
You like it?
Well, tell me, Jamie, if you're going
Uh-huh.
to see Godzilla vs Kong, what do you want to see?
I'd like to see Big Monkey and Big Lizard, and I'd like to see them punch each other a bit.
The,
And I'd want to see Godzilla win because he deserves it.
There you go. You got it.
Cool.
Go,
Is that what?
King Kong. Should I just spoil it for you? Do you?
No, you know what? I don't mind that much. I'm not going to go see Godzilla versus Kong for the plot.
So King Kong wins round 1. Godzilla wins round 2. They're gonna have a round 3, but then Mecha Godzilla comes out and they fight together against Mecha Godzilla, and then they go their separate ways.
That's so bullshit that they'd have a draw.
To be fair,
I remember literally saying in the marketing.
To be fair, Godzilla does win though. Definitely, because
Okay.
the first fight, he's winning, and then there's a bit of trickery that means King Kong wins it, but he doesn't really win it properly. And the second one, he fully beats King Kong, and then at the end,
Good.
they go their separate ways. So, yes, Godzilla does win, but the way they do it is so that it's kind of a tie at the end, and they band together.
In the original film, King Kong that wins by tricking Godzilla into munching on electric wire.
My flatmate sent me a video that I've still not watched, which is like it's the audio from the new trailer, like the trailer for the current one, but edited over images from the original film, and apparently it's really cool to watch because it's like basically just shows how like nothing is different at all. So I saw that. I watched RoboCop.
Cool. What did you? Are you a hardcore anti-capitalist now?
No, it was okay.
Do you enjoy shooting people in the dick now?
No, we watched the director's cut, which has an extra 6 seconds of footage, which is 2 people getting brutally shot up.
Nice.
So that was cool. Yeah, the film was fine. I don't know. I preferred Total Recall, but both of them were like a bit silly and whatever. I guess that's the point. What else?
What did you think of the prostitute with 3 tits and Total Recall?
That I liked that. That was funny. More to grab onto. I've been rewatching the Jurassic Park films as well. My family hadn't seen them. So
Got any new
Watched
insights?
the first and the second one. I'm gonna watch the third soon. So that's been good. They're my favourite films. So
Very nice. That's your favourite, isn't it?
that's my favourite.
Third one.
Yeah, that's about it. I talked about the film that we've been making at the start. Yeah. What have you been up to, Jamie? You seemed very keen to.
I have been playing Vidya now that I am free
Nice.
and watching TV. Which would you like to hear about first, Duncan?
Both.
Both. Hear about them both first.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do this. I played. No, I'm talking about TV first. We've only got one thing to talk about. I finally finished watching Deep Space Nine after 6 months of watching it off and on. Good show. I liked it a lot. I'm glad that I spent time watching it. Yeah, I really like Star Trek now. I've officially devolved into the worst kind of nerd. But it was fun. It had a good ensemble cast. I really liked that I didn't really have like a proper main character, I felt. I think that it gave everyone a bit of time to shine, which I enjoyed. And it was also never forgot to be really silly. It was always a show that could have like a really stupid episode at one point.
Yeah.
At least a couple times a season. I know that frustrates some people, but I really loved it. I would say that my favourite episode is the one where they all play baseball against some Vulcans, even though they're in the middle of a war. Because that's good. That's the good stuff. And none of them have ever heard of baseball before because they're all aliens, so they all have to be taught.
Oh, that's funny.
It's great, genuinely. Other good episodes I would highlight are the one where a member of the capitalist alien race forms a trade union.
Right.
That's pretty great.
That sounds good.
Yeah. In terms of like serious stuff, I really liked the one where Miles O'Brien is forced to kill. Is like everyone's treating him differently on the station, and he doesn't understand why, and they're all suspicious of him. And then at the end, you realise that it's actually a clone of Miles O'Brien that was programmed to sabotage the station. It's not the real one,
Right.
and that's why everyone was weird. That was cool. I liked the one with I liked Garrick as a character. He was my favourite. He's a exiled spy from the opposite side, and no one really knows his loyalties, but he's very fun. Um, but I had a bit other favorite episodes that I was going to talk about before. I guess it doesn't matter so much. I really like Kira. She's the only character in this entire franchise, female character, that doesn't seem incredibly misogynistic. She's actually three-dimensional and has interests.
What? No, that doesn't
yeah,
sound right.
It's good. She's a former terrorist
Right.
who helped liberate her planet from occupation under the villains, and her episodes are interesting because they're always about her sort of having to either reckon with her past decisions or figuring out how she can resist now that she's in a position of authority, or whether she's justified in going back to her old methods or whether she should be trying a more diplomatic approach. And it doesn't take the cowardly way out. It says that no, she should be going back to direct action. It's quite interesting that 90s Trek is weirdly supportive of terrorism in certain contexts, which is interesting to see, and I like it. Seems more even-handed that way, and I'm absolutely certain that as we cross the barrier into Trek that was airing in 2001, that will go away.
Probably.
But yeah. And it has a really well fleshed out secondary cast, like much better than I think in any show I've ever seen. So like even though the main cast is only made up of like 7 people or so, it feels much bigger.
Yeah.
And they give everyone a time to shine, which I really like. I think that it's much more questioning of the utopia that Star Trek presents in a way that I find quite interesting. It's sort of about because do you know the premise of Star Trek in general, or
I don't know, actually.
I guess I could just talk about it for people who don't know. So the idea is that in the future, humanity has solved all its problems. We don't use currency anymore. There's no money.
Right.
People work just for self-fulfillment. There's no racism. There's no poverty. There's no war. All of it's been solved.
Okay.
Although it's sometimes a little inconsistent as to how that happened. But now we explore the stars to discover what's out there. But this is the one that sort of starts to ask questions about how this utopia is being achieved. What happens if people don't want to be part of your all-accepting collective? What happens if you run into someone who you shouldn't be accepting of because their ideology is so heinous? What happens when sort of you have this big society, but then the existence of it starts to be threatened? It's very interesting in that way. So there's a lot of characters who start to disagree with how the Federation, which is the UN of planets that the whole series revolves around, we start for the first time to see people who disagree with it and who are treated seriously, which I think is a much more interesting angle for the series to take. So like one of the better villains of the show is someone who just says flat out that he doesn't agree with how the Federation's run anymore, and you really see that this gets to the main characters, and sort of goads them into making decisions that they wouldn't do normally because they're sort of threatened in this way.
Interesting.
So I like it.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, it's very willing to show a multitude of ideologies. I will say about the finale, because that's the episode I have the most. The finale is like a 10-parter. It's really cool. But I don't like... They resolve the war in a way... Like, the second half of the series is dominated by this war between two sides. And they solve that in a way that I thought was really satisfying and good. They win, but, it's a very Pyrrhic victory. So nobody gets any joy out of it. So I like that. It's sort of a somber note, but still one that results in victory for the protagonist. And, the nation... One of the nations that's sort of been... The center of all the conflict on Deep Space Nine is this planet called Cardassia, which is eventually occupied by another force. Cardassia.
Cardassia. Right.
And it's occupied by another planet, and they say at the end that even though they've won, the old culture of Cardassia is gone. It's been reduced to rubble. There's no way they can build it up, same as it was. Which is interesting. But there is another arc going on at the same time, which involves the spiritual and religious side of Deep Space Nine, and the main villain, who's a Cardassian called Golden Cat, and it's stupid. It's a good I thought that they were going to like tie it in really well with the other stuff, and they just don't. It's just sort of a separate bit that hangs on. So we get the whole war storyline resolved, and then in like 10 minutes, there's this other tacked on bit involving like space Satan, and it's space Jesus. And it just feels a bit out of step. And like it works emotionally because it's a sort of reason for like the main characters to sacrifice themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what the series on this very somber note because it's one of it's my favorite kind of finale, and that's about the characters sort of accepting that their time together has ended and they're going in different directions. But yeah, it's just not tied together very well. I really feel like it should have been neater.
Yeah.
So criticism of that. Anyway, moving on from a TV show that you've never seen.
Yeah. To a video game I've never played.
Video game. Yeah, 3 of them even.
Oh my god, right.
Yeah, you love it.
I do.
Well, I talked about Disco Elysium a lot, so we'll leave that. I played Psychonauts, which is a 3D platform.
No, I know Psychonauts.
Made by. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I've not played it, but I remember watching Nerd Cute play it in like 2012 or something like that.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, I'm aware
so it's made by the guys at Double Fine who made Grim Fandango and Monkey Island.
Yeah.
It's a really good 3D platformer. It's very creative and very funny. I really like the variety on offer.
Well, Psychonauts 2 is coming out this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumours that it's going to drop at E3, which would be very nice, or late sometime in the summer.
E3's quite soon, yeah?
Yeah. I think it's next weekend. So
we can do a live Golden Talkies watch along.
Yeah, of course, it'll be great. For people who don't know, me and Duncan every year watch E3 together, and we are always have asynchronous streams where one of us is at a good 5 or 10 seconds behind the other.
Yeah.
So I'm sure everyone would love for that experience to be shared.
What if we watched it in person, Jamie?
Well, you're in a different city to me.
I could come down for E3.
Well, also I have a job right now. So.
Oh, is E3 not at the weekend?
Mostly, but bits of it are on Monday.
Okay. Oh, well, if you don't want me to, that's fine.
Yeah, probably shouldn't be inviting you to my house anyway. Anyway, the game's fun. It's got a lot of cool varieties of levels. The Milkman conspiracy is one from the perspective of a paranoid schizophrenic, and that's really funny. You got to spend the entire level like disguising yourself as other things, while all these secret agents like make weird comments because they're pretending to be a housewife baking pies, or a grieving widow who needs time to grieve. It's very awkward, but like tight tone. I really like. And there's one set inside a sort of grand strategy board game, which is also really cool and interesting. So those are my favourites.
Nice.
And that's from the perspective of a man who is being haunted by the genetic memory of Napoleon Bonaparte. So yeah, it's just I really like platformers, but a lot of them are very similar in terms of setting. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate it when there's one that has very unique ideas, and this one definitely did. Secondly, I played SteamWorld Dig 2. I like the first SteamWorld Dig a lot. You sort of go down a mine, and it's a Metroidvania, and you discover a big secret at the bottom. Of SteamWorld Dig, yes. It's sort of steampunky. You play as a robot powered by steam.
Oh, I played SteamWorld Heist.
Oh yeah, it's the same world, different gameplay.
Yeah,
but SteamWorld is set in the same universe.
Okay, because you confused me. I was like, I'm sure I've played SteamWorld, but it wasn't called Dig.
No.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of people like SteamWorld Dig more because it's a more traditional Metroidvania.
Right.
I'm going to SteamWorld Dig 2 more. I'm going to say I like the original more.
Okay.
I thought it was more focused on what made the franchise unique. It was more focused on the mining,
Nice.
whereas SteamWorld Dig 2 isn't really interested in that, and it sort of becomes kind of an encumbrance. I also thought that SteamWorld Dig 2's story was kind of focused on setting up SteamWorld Heist in a way that I thought acted to its detriment, because it has to justify why everyone's in space all of a sudden.
Right, okay.
I wasn't necessarily a fan. I thought it took away from its own uniqueness. I felt... Because I don't mind if you have like a big overall franchise that sort of allows you to do what you want, if you know what I mean, whilst keeping some recognizability. But I really dislike when the plots start to just be about justifying other things, if you know what I mean. What I'm trying to say is I would have vastly preferred it if SteamWorld Heist existed, but they just never have explained why robots are in space, rather than trying to create an interconnected story.
Oh, there's SteamWorld Quest as well. Looks like
Yeah, that's the other one. And there's SteamWorld Tower Defense, which nobody has ever played. 'Cause it's the very first one, and only available in DSiWare, which no longer exists.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm looking at the SteamWorld
yeah.
bundle here. It's on sale at the moment. Oh no, I have
Yeah.
money off because I own
Yeah.
it. No, it is on sale. Maybe
Yeah.
some of the games are on
Well,
sale. I don't know.
I'd recommend it still. I just didn't like it as much as I was.
Well, SteamWorld
hoping to.
Dig's on sale at the moment, so
SteamWorld Dig Original is very fun and only takes like an afternoon to get through.
right.
Anyway,
Well, it's 75%
Okay,
off
my
at the moment,
point.
so that's a pretty good price.
that is a very good. Final game I played was made by Inkle, which is a very good game studio that made 80 Days, which is one of my favorite games. But this is called Overboard, and in it you play in a sort of Agatha Christie style mystery, and you play from the perspective of the murderer as you try to get away with your crime. And it's sort of a narrative thing, and you're sort of encouraged to replay it multiple times in order to try and figure out how like the whole system works, like what his character's secrets are, and how you can leverage particular mechanisms against one another in order to get away with it. And I thought it was really good and interesting. But I felt that getting the sort of best ending was a little too simple.
Okay.
I would have preferred it to be like something where like you really had to understand everything that was going on. You had to like perform to a really tight schedule, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like something that really tests. Whereas the actual way you get it is quite easy once you figure out because the game points you towards it, and it's really just have to do one particular thing.
Yeah.
And sort of sorted, which I didn't like as much. I thought it was more satisfying to get the ending where I was having to accuse somebody else of doing it.
Yeah.
But getting the best ending where you you get rid of a blackmailer in a particular way is not that difficult, because you just have to persuade the one witness to lie about it,
Okay.
and they're being persecuted by the blackmailer, so it's not that hard. I really, really liked the game as a whole. It had a good style, and it was nice to see Inkle doing things, because I like them very, very much.
Cool.
So yeah,
Good.
those are the games. The best of the three was Psychonauts by quite a way, but they're all enjoyable.
Nice. Well, I've not really played anything new much, so I'm afraid I don't have any exciting updates on the game front.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, shall we sign off with our promise that next week we will be watching a film called They Might Be Giants, and we will have a review of it up.
Is it going to be
By
good?
Sunday.
Is it going to be good, Jamie?
No, it might be good. It doesn't look incredible. It has George C. Scott in it though, so we'll be getting to see him again.
Is it funny?
It's a comedy.
Okay, good. Right. As long as it's not another period drama.
It's set in a period.
But it's a comedy, not a drama.
Yes, it's a comedy.
Okay, well,
Actually, to whet the appetite, it's about a psychiatric patient who's convinced he's Sherlock Holmes.
oh, that sounds like it could be fine. Okay, so next week,
Yeah.
on Sunday, guys, that's going to be going up. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
This week on Sunday, I guess, when you're listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
Right, well,
All right.
goodbye, everyone.
Bye, all.